and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Close results in the race for governor has Governor Bevin calling for county clerks to check into irregularities in voting. Yesterday, the governor requested a recanvass of all 120 counties. That will happen in 1 week. Tonight, we are hearing from Bevin's primary rival, Representative Robert Goforth of Laurel County. Hillary Thornton explains why he says the governor's past may have cost him the race.
There are several reasons State Representative Robert Goforth challenged Governor Matt Bevin in the primary back in May. Some of those are the same reasons he believes the governor's vote count is about 5,000 less than Democrat Andy Beshear.
It was just the way that he talks to people and the attitude sometimes.
Goforth winning 39% of the primary vote to Governor Bevin's 52%. This map showing the counties the state rep carried. He says his congratulations phone call on primary night to the governor was the last time they spoke, despite repeated efforts in the weeks that followed.
And I let him know I thought he was in trouble, and we tried to help him, but he refused to let me help him.
Representative Goforth says if the election results say anything, he believes it is that the Republican Party of Kentucky is as strong as ever.
As far as preserving our conservative values, people in Kentucky, they want those values preserved. And we proved that on Tuesday night with overwhelming support for the entire ticket except for that race.
Obviously, that one race, the top slot on the ticket, a slim margin making Beshear governor-elect. Because of that, Governor Bevin requesting a recanvass.
As soon as this recanvass is over, we need to accept those results and move forward.
Many lawmakers echoing that, but all knowing Governor Bevin does have the sole power to request an election contest proceeding.
But if you don't have widespread proof of significant fraud, then you need to concede, and we need to move on as a Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Hillary Thornton, WYMT Mountain News.
Neither Bevin nor Beshear are unfamiliar with recanvasses. Each endured one in 2015 on their way to their current seats in state politics. It was all quiet today from the Beshear team. Yesterday, the governor-elect said he planned to spend some time with his family after a hard-fought campaign. We did talk to his staff today. They told us Beshear did not have any public events scheduled and the transition team was moving forward, but no announcements were expected today. All 120 counties across the Commonwealth are preparing for that formal recanvass. Less than 1% of the total votes cast on Tuesday separate Bevin and Governor-elect Andy Beshear. The recanvass will essentially be a check to make sure the numbers reported to the state match those collected at precincts across the state. Clerks say it is a painless process that can wrap up in about an hour.
The machines themselves tell you the numbers, but we follow a protocol. Everything was done correctly, so I don't think it will, but there's always that chance, which is why we have this recanvass.
Now, the only way a recount could happen would be if Governor Bevin filed an election contest, as Hillary mentioned, and the legislature called for one. The filing window is now open for 2020 Kentucky candidates, and the deadline is in late January. While the nation's eyes will be on President Trump's re-election bid in 2020, many in the Bluegrass will also be keeping a close eye on the state House. Republicans flipped the House 3 years ago. Democrats need to hang on to all their current seats and flip 6 others to take back the majority. Now, in our latest live web poll, we want to know which Democrat you are most likely to support to take on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in next year's election. The majority of you overwhelmingly say right now House Minority Floor Leader Rocky Adkins. Second is someone other than the names listed, then Matt Jones, and lastly Amy McGrath. And McGrath is the only one running so far.
And it was soggy earlier today. Now some of that rain's starting to move out, but of course we'll hang on to it a little bit longer. We'll go ahead and take you up to satellite and radar where you can see the soggy weather throughout the day. All of us getting in on the nice green across the mountains. So still dealing with some of that rain for now, but you can see we're in the last stretch. You're seeing drier conditions up into Moorhead, over into Lexington and Louisville. We'll see most of that rain move out of I-75 here shortly as well. Looking at temperatures though, those are expected to plummet as we head into the rest of those evening and overnight hours. Already seeing those 30s into Moorhead, Lexington, lower 40s, Jackson still near 50 down into Bell County. Check out those feels like temperature, already feeling like the lower 30s, even upper 20s back into Lexington and Moorhead, feeling like the upper 30s into Jackson. And we've already cooled off tremendously compared to this time yesterday. Expected to cool off tonight and as we head into tomorrow as well. I'll have those details coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thank you, Paige. Fire unable to destroy faith. Late last night in Clay County, a local church went up in flames. While volunteer fire departments were able to contain the fire, the inside was severely damaged. WYMT's Lauren McCourt talked with the church's pastor, who says this small bump in the road will not keep them from losing their faith.
A room normally full of people.
They know this is a place of hope. It's an oasis.
Filled with fire on Wednesday night.
We got a lot of loss here.
Shortly after service at Penco Community Church, Pastor Jerry Rice had a knock at his door.
There was a couple that came and beat on my door, and they said smoke's coming out of the church.
Racing to check out what was happening, he was horrified by what he saw.
A lot of the pews was burnt. The whole top is all burnt.
The flames heavily damaging the building, but unable to destroy their faith.
Our hope is in Jesus. It's not in this building.
A testimony they will continue to share for years to come.
The Bible says all things work for the good of them that loves the Lord.
While this is not the first trial Penco Church has been through,
we've been through the fire before, and God will bring you through it.
Their undeniable trust will remain in Jesus. In Clay County, Lauren McCourt, WYMT Mountain News.
Pastor Rice says they plan to continue having church services in another building right next door. A woman is facing charges after deputies say she left a 7-year-old with a convicted sex offender. Deputies in Knox County arrested Whitney Lawson on 2 warrants last week. The next day, deputies learned the child was with Michael Campbell, who is a sex offender. Lawson is charged with child endangerment. Campbell is charged with not complying with the sex offender registry. There is a new trial date in a Perry County murder case. The trial of James McIntosh will now be heard in Breathitt County. He is accused of shooting Danny Mullins multiple times earlier this year. Failure to seat a jury resulted in a mistrial last month here in Perry County. The trial is now set for November 18th. Defense attorneys say they do not plan to ask for a continuance. There will be a competency hearing in a Martin County shooting case. Elwood 6 faces a first-degree manslaughter charge. Investigators say he killed Rodney Stepp in 2017. The competency hearing is set for November 26th. A judge will decide whether he is able to stand trial. Currently, there is not a trial date. That hearing will be held in Johnson County. A new arraignment date for a Clay County mother charged in the so-called hot water challenge. Angela Guth was set to enter a plea earlier this week. However, that is pushed back until December 2nd. Police say she did nothing to help a boy severely burned after her son poured hot water on him. A grand jury indicted her on child abuse and wanton endangerment charges. An unusual shooting last night in Whitley County when a man's blind wife opened fire, injuring them both. Police call it all an accident. WYMT's Hannah Reynolds talked to them to learn more about the incident.
It was a quiet Wednesday night on Savoy Road until police rushed into the home of Michael and Betty Reynolds.
Well, it scared me because, I love them like family. They're close to us, really close.
The police responding just got a call that one of the homeowners had been shot in his leg.
So while the officers were in the home, the officers started receiving gunfire from an adjacent bedroom.
Those shots rang across the street.
And I heard 2 gunshots fairly quick together, like a pow, pow.
A second person had been shot.
Typically when you hear those kinds of things, you assume the worst.
After an intense 15 minutes, police found all the shots were believed to be fired in self-defense. It turns out they came from the other homeowner, Betty, who is completely blind.
Because the first thing she said to us is she said, my husband's gone on a hunting trip.
The last shot she fired was into her own hand. So she and Michael were flown out.
We're just grateful that Michael and Betty both were not injured any worse than they were.
Both Betty and Michael are in stable condition and healing from their injuries. In Whitley County, Hannah Reynolds, WYMT Mountain News.
And there was a dog that was shot as well when police were trying to enter the home. The dog is also healing from a gunshot wound. A one-vehicle crash on US 23 in Floyd County sent one woman to the hospital today. Around 1 o'clock, the Allen Fire Department and Kentucky State Police responded after a vehicle apparently hydroplaned off the roadway. That vehicle then hit the mountainside near Allen before rolling onto its top in the ditch. The driver was the only person in the vehicle. She was taken to Highlands ARH Regional Medical Center for treatment. Today, officials announced Kentucky was given a $1.2 million federal grant to help establish the Appalachian Opportunity Zone initiative. This is to help develop and market projects that are in distressed areas and counties. The announcement was made in Booneville. Owsley County has been recognized as one of the distressed areas, and Booneville has taken advantage of the benefits of opportunity zones to help with its project of reopening the Booneville Seal Theater, which closed in 1985. We'll have an update on this ongoing project coming up at 11.
And as we head into tonight, temperature is going to drop into about the mid-20s. That cold air continues as we head into your Friday as well. I'll have those details coming up in just a little bit.
But first, the Pikeville Pharmacy is using CBD to try and help combat the opioid epidemic.